One of these chips costs nearly 3 times more than the other, but under the microscope, one of them completely surprised me. Most people buy their chips based on brand loyalty or habit. Today, we're ignoring all of that. We're putting these 3 samples through a blind visual science audit. No branding, no bias, just the raw data, thickness, salt distribution, and structural integrity. By the end of this, you'll be able to tell which one is a premium product, which is a mass market staple, and which is the ultra budget option. Before we dive into this, make your call. Which one is the expensive one, and which one is a cheap one? Keep your guests locked in, and let's look at the evidence. All right, starting with sample A, and man, look at this. It doesn't even look like a chip anymore. It looks like a mountain range. You see these deep folds and jagged edges? This thing went through some serious heat. It's got that rough, almost volcanic look that you only really get when the chip is fried in small, intense batches. So zooming in a bit further to 100 times, these air pockets are huge. They're super regular, which tells me the potato is really pushed to the limit during the fry. It's got a thick, brittle skeleton to it. And that's exactly why this thing is going to have a massive crunch. It's basically built to hold as much flavor as possible in these tiny, deep craters. So check out the seasoning. It isn't just a dusting. You got these legit salt crystals hunkered down in the deep grooves. It's pretty chaotic, but honestly, it looks like real food. It's not trying to be perfect, and that's why it works. Anyway, keep that structure in mind. Let's see if sample B is as intense as this one. So now for sample B, it's a complete 180 from what we just saw. Instead of those jagged mountains, we've got a much flatter, more consistent surface. It's almost pale. You can tell this one went through some high-speed automated fry line. It's not trying to be a crater chip. It's built for one thing: uniform, light, and fast eating. So zoom in here 100 times, and yeah, look at this. The starch cells are way smaller and tighter. You don't see the big air pockets from the first sample. It's a lot more aerated, like a sponge. That's why these usually melt in your mouth a little bit faster. It's less about a brutal, heavy-duty crunch and more about that quick, airy snap. And the seasoning is totally different. Instead of those chunky salt clusters, we've got this fine, uniform coating. It's like it was sprayed on a machine to get every single square millimeter covered. It's safe, it's reliable, and it's clearly built for mass appeal. So between the mountain range of sample A and the aerated structure of this one, which one are you picking for your snack bowl? Let's see what the final sample looks like. Okay, on to sample C, and this is our structural test, you guys. And immediately you can see how different this is from the others. It's incredibly thin, almost translucent in spots. You can tell the potato was sliced at high speed with zero room for error. It's got a very flat, very predictable geometry that you really only see in large-scale automated production. So that's a little clue for you. So still in our structural test at 100 times, the starch matrix is tight, but it lacks that airness we saw in the middle sample. It's a very dense, compressed structure. It's like the potato starch was fused together under a lot of pressure. It's not going to have that big, airy snap, but it's going to be extremely consistent every single time you pull one out of the bag. So check out the seasoning. It's a fine, light dusting, the kind of stuff that's clearly applied for an automated spray line. It's uniform, it's efficient, and it's meant to coat every single piece exactly the same way. It's not that rustic, heavy-handed style we saw earlier, but it gets the job done. So that wraps up the dry audit. Let's see if the molecular structure holds up under the wet test. Crushing these samples into a fine powder, this lets us isolate the individual starch particles and see how they were fused together by the heat. So at 40 times and 100 times, we're looking at the raw geography. You can see the particle size consistency here. It's interesting to see how these fragments hold their shapes even after being crushed. So pushing into 400 times and even 1,000 times, now we're seeing the cellular architecture. So look at the cell walls in this specific sample. They're thick, robust, and clearly defined. It's got a complex layered structure that really stands out under the light. This gives us a great look at the structural reality of this fragment. We've seen the surface, we've seen the seasoning, and now we've looked at the underlying structure. There's no more guessing. Let's move on to the next sample. So we're back at the structural density audit. I've taken sample B and pulverized it down to the essentials. This lets us look past the seasoning and see how the starch is built. So check out that dark rod-like thing right in the center. That's actually a piece of the potato's vascular system. Basically, it's the plant's own internal plumbing. It's wild that it stayed completely intact after going through that high-heat industrial fryer. So 40 times and 100 times, look at the particle distribution. It's consistent, almost like a fine sand. You can really see how this fragment was designed to break down evenly. There's no huge unfractured starch blocks here. It's all uniform, which is exactly why this one has such a light, consistent snap when you eat it. Now pushing into 400 times and 1000 times, check out these starch cells. You see how they're slightly gelled and translucent? This is a signature of a high-speed controlled fry. The cell walls are thin and delicate, they're not rugged or thick like we saw earlier. It's a very clean, aerated structure. It's not trying to offer a heavy, dense crunch. It's built just to disappear that moment you start chewing. It's definitely the most refined of the group so far. The architecture is all about speed and consistency. Audit for sample B is logged. Let's get sample C on the stage. So here's sample C, and broken this down just like the other two into a powder. Let's take a look at this. So at 40 and 100 times, you can see it's a lot more compressed. The particles aren't as delicate as the previous sample. They're chunky and dense. It looks like they were packed under a high pressure, which explains why this fragment has that heavy, solid feel to it when you handle it. That's a little clue for you guys. So now at 400 times and 1000 times, look at this. The cell walls aren't just thin, they're almost entirely collapsed. It's a solid block of starch matrix. There's almost no air in there, just a tight, uniform density. It's not about an airy snap. It's built to be a solid, consistent bite every single time. It's a totally different approach to the same snack. While the others prioritize different textures, this one is clearly optimized for a dense, singular structure. Audit for sample C is complete. Let's do a side-by-side comparison and then do the whiteboard reveal. So look at these three side by side. This is a structural summary. Even at this magnification, the architecture of these chips tell a completely different story. On the left, you've got that rugged, open cell structure, high temperature, high variation. In the middle, it's a controlled aerated honeycomb designed for speed and quick snap. And on the right, that's the compressed high density matrix. It's consistent, but it's essentially a solid wall of starch compared to the others. So none of these are wrong, you guys. They're just engineered for different results. One is built for an intense, rugged crunch. One for an airy melt in your mouth feel. And the last one for a predictable, high volume snack experience. So when you see them side by side, the premium versus budget gap isn't just about price. It's about the structural engineering. So which one did you bet on? Which one is the most expensive and which one is the cheapest? Let's flip the board and see who came out on top. The audit is complete. You guys made it. We examined every chip at 100 times magnification. We looked at structure, texture, seasoning distribution, and what was actually happening beneath the surface. Now it's time to find out which chip is which. Finally, sample A had the most rugged structure, thick ridges, heavy seasoning clusters, a surface that looked almost handcrafted under the microscope. Sample A was Kettle Brand. Sample B showed the most uniform architecture, consistent air pockets, and consistent texture, almost engineered for predictability. Sample B was Lay's Classic. And sample C revealed the densest structure of the three, tightly packed starch cells with fewer large voids and much more compressed appearance under magnification. Sample C was Great Value. Are you surprised? Here's what surprised me. The microscope didn't show three identical potato chips with different logos. It showed three distinctly different products. Kettle Brand delivered the most complex structure and the heaviest seasoning profile. Lay's delivered the most consistent and uniform architecture. And Great Value proved that the cheapest option isn't necessarily the same chip in a different bag. So, is the premium chip worth paying more for? Under the microscope, you can clearly see where some of that extra cost is going. Whether it's worth it is up to you and your taste buds. Subscribe for more food truth. Oh, check this out. It'll tell you all about canned tuna fish and if you're paying more for nothing. I'm Will from The Visual Scientist. Take care of yourselves and others.